morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm Sean Miller, Head of Growth from Codehouse. On the call, we've also got James, the Commercial Director at Codehouse, and Sean, the CEO of Motives. In terms of the agenda today, the topic is what clients want, the digital verdict. And really what this agenda is about is getting into the heart of what are the things that our customers as law firms are looking for. So James is going to take us through understanding client expectations. And then we're going to let Sean take us through how to overcome some of those research challenges with AI. And then I'm going to take us home with the core 4 pages to nail on any legal law firm website. Just a very quick background about Codehouse. Codehouse has been around for 20 years. In 2027, we covered strategy, research, design, and delivery. That's kind of really everything that a law firm needs to deliver a global scale website. We've been very lucky to work with some great law firms in the past, and most recently launching Evershed Sutherland across the world in many languages, and recently won a Sitecore nominated for a Sitecore award. It's built on Sitecore CMS. Our focus is helping law firms transform into a modern enterprise, delivering all sorts of digital experiences. And where we think about that is building really strong foundations so that you don't have to kind of continually rebuild the same thing. You have really strong scaffolding, so a headless CMS, as well as all these other different components that make up that whole marketing technology stack. And then in terms of process, how do these things get delivered? We think about them as process loops, these things that can continually happen. And we work with a number of law firms on that in terms of improving how they deliver the website and digital experiences. In terms of how to understand client expectations, I'm going to hand over to James.
Thank you, Sean. A few months ago, we delivered a digital playbook for law firms, you can see down at the bottom there. And it was creating a framework to think about the key steps that you would go through in order to curate a digital journey. So whatever the particular area of expertise or thing that you're really looking to sell from a services perspective, what are those sort of key steps you go through to help you shape what that journey looks like? Starting off with getting in the mind of the client. I'm not going through all the steps today, but when we talk about getting in the mind of the client, what we're really talking about there is at what point does somebody want legal services? What are the triggers that might make them want to engage with your law firm at some point? And we're doing that for 2 reasons. One reason is so that actually, how can you think about getting in front of them, being in front of them at that particular point? And the next step is, though, if you do get in front of them at a particular point and they happen to visit your website, which is the second point or the second step, how do you make sure that first experience they have on the website is as valuable as it possibly can be? How do you make sure that you utilize everything from that first step? If you do know about them, the most effective it is. You don't have long to grab attention. If you have caught their attention, keep it. Then the steps move on through how do you actually create more reasons to give them to engage and return, so be that through digital tools. And then we move into onboarding and finally into actually dealing with them once they're already a customer. Once you actually know an awful lot about them, you can actually serve them with intelligence and individualize the experience you're providing to them. But going back to that first step in terms of how do you get in the mind of the client? One of the great ways to get into the minds of clients is to talk to them. We've become huge proponents of user research, and particularly in the past few years. Not only is it a great enabler to actually understand how to design and build websites, but it's also, user research is a great way of driving internal consensus. So when you've got difficult decisions to make about how an experience should look, how an experience, you can lean on this user research and actually use that to give you the answers to those particular questions. Often user research or almost like user testing is something that we'd seen done towards the end of a process. So effectively, once you've designed the experience, you're looking for some accomplices to agree with what you've already designed. Of course, the best thing is to get that user research at the very start of the program and actually run a program throughout the whole delivery. Why people didn't do that before, of course, there's cost, there's all the logistics, there's the overheads of actually putting that stuff in place. And next, Sean from Motives is going to take us through a few reasons how he's managed to, him and his company have developed a wonderful product that actually helps address those sort of overheads that you have when delivering user research. I'll hand over to the other Sean.
Thanks, James. Excited to talk us through the challenges that are important to get user research in early, but it's time consuming, challenging to access the right people. It can be very expensive, and so people often leave it much too late. We provide a solution to make it easy and affordable to get high quality research really quickly. And we do that powered by AI. So we basically offer a AI research team that will do this kind of in-depth research for you can turn around results quickly and give you insights to make decisions early. How it works is we find the people that you're interested in talking to. So we'll recruit the kind of target audience for you, in this case, kind of buyers of legal research or services. They do in-depth interviews with our AI. So what you see on the screen here is the experience they have is it's like they join a video call, but the moderator is a specialized AI we've built that asks follow-up questions, digs deep, really uncovers those real insights about what they're looking for. The participants like this because they can actually just join anytime they have 30 minutes free to do this interview. They don't need to schedule in advance. And the AI is really highly specialized in being a really high quality moderator. You can go to the next slide, Sean. You will do all these interviews, and because there's no scheduling required, our AI can run all the interviews immediately. It only takes a day or two to turn these results around. And so you get back this nice library of research based on kind of the target audience, which you can then regularly use to input into your process. Next slide, please. Then the other real magic of it is that our AI also will analyze all the research for you. So we'll pull out all the key insights and the key takeaways so that you can go from a kind of business strategic question, a research question, what people think about our website as it is, for example. We can run this whole research process and then pull out the key themes for you all within a day or two. And all of those themes we then connect back to what real people are saying. So we can provide in this reports, like here's some video clips of real people, and here's what they think about the challenges they found, what they liked, what they didn't like, etc. And I'll hand it back over to Sean, who can show an example of that.
Thanks, Sean. Just before I play some clips from the research we've been doing across the legal industry powered by Motives, I was skeptical of what an AI-powered moderator could do, having been a moderator myself, done hundreds of hours of these types of interviews and thinking that it's quite hard, and responding and listening intently and then finding ways to draw deeper into topics. I've been amazingly impressed by its quality. I participated as a participant and found myself sharing more than I expected to put it into action with customers, and it's been phenomenal in terms of speed. This is the kind of report or aspects of the report that we'd be putting together, generating snippets, going through everything from if it's a research report, we've done 20 interviews, 20 hours worth of conversations, and then creating this very highly curated package of research. But the fact that Motives is able to do that, and as Sean said, that you can get that within 24 to 48 hours, it's phenomenal. In the legal industry, it's difficult to get user research participants, and that's with some of our law firm clients, there is an appetite. There's definitely a hunger to do the research. The challenge is actually reaching their own customers, because for obvious reasons that in some cases it's those clients are busy. In other cases, it's because just from internal blockers that people don't want to share direct access to their clients to participate in user research. And so that presents a challenge. And so the fact that Motives is able to do that recruitment piece, as well as then actually running the interviews at speed, and those participants are busy people, they can participate in their own time. They don't have to work around my calendar. They can say, I have time available, I'm going to start the conversation, and all that feeds into this wider report. What we're going to share in the next couple of minutes is some clips from conversations that Motives has been having with people across the legal industry. When we get to the sort of last couple of clips, the video goes back, but you'll still hear the participants speaking. Bear with us, we've blocked their faces for confidentiality. I'm going to press play, and let's hear what people have to say.
It's important that your first experience is positive.
Engaging a lawyer is not pleasant. They want it to be easy.
Financials and profitability are a major challenge.
The only challenge can be that it can take time to figure out the right firm and contact. Occasionally, law firm websites will have free information or context around certain types of legal issues.
I've looked for reviews or case studies where other companies have worked for them.
The law firms that really properly engage become a trusted news source as much as a legal partner.
Limit large blocks of text. Create an easy directory to navigate of personnel in that firm, and then also provide really clear logic paths to contact someone, how to set up an appointment. Information given on a legal website does still need to be presented in a way that's understandable. You shouldn't have to have a legal background.
The bios are useful, contact information, direct lines, email information for the attorneys, and specific practice areas, listing of which attorneys practice in those areas, so I don't have to hunt around.
I liked the way the website looked. It was cleaner, easier to navigate.
The website is quite slow to load. The cookies menu comes up straight away, and they let me reject all cookies immediately, which is good.
Probably a 6 out of 10. I found it harder to find the information.
It doesn't provide much about their practice areas. they're a huge law firm. It seems almost like their website is that of a high street firm's.
I feel like a website that's more appropriate for a creative or advertising or marketing agency, too creative for legal. It's distracting. This feels more appropriate. Blue, simple background, visionary, global, partners. I would like a client portal. I don't see one, but I understand this website and it's digestible.
There's not the most amount of information on here. It explains their values, blah, 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 but what do you actually do?
Great question. What do you do? I guess James's second point. You've done all the hard work to get them to your website through a Google search or social media post. We have to take that brief moment when they are on the website to be as clear as possible about what we do as a firm, but then also getting them to the right place. What we see across all the law firms that we've worked with, as well as when we've done our competitor analysis, from global law firms to smaller independent law firms, is that there are sort of general patterns that exist across all law firms. And these exist for reasons of the patterns work, as well as because that is what users come to expect. And as we heard from the conversations that we had with participants through Motives, is that there is just a need. So these patterns match that need. But what we've seen and what we'll talk through is a little bit about the patterns that we've created. So in the middle, we're going to talk through our sort of wireframe blueprints that we use as a starting point for any conversation that we have with the law firm in terms of when we're redesigning or trying to improve an experience. We have a checklist that powers some of these blueprints, which we'll be happy to share as well if you want to follow up with us after the webinar. The key thing going back to how we validate these designs is user research. If you have access to your participants, to your clients and participants, as well as then be able to run the interviews, then that's all well and good. But if there is a gap there, then obviously Motives is able to fill that gap. But what you can do with Motives or with moderated interviews is then test specific interfaces. So you've got the kind of more generative, open questions, tell us about your needs. As on that video, we've created this experience. Now tell us how you're experiencing it. Ideally, you then also get to see how the participants are interacting with it, not just hearing how they perceive their experience. And that's what you're getting to hear there, and right at the end, in terms of I'm seeing lots of blue, or I'm seeing lots of flashing pictures, but not actually understanding what the firm does. But to be more specific, one of the key user journeys here is the kind of people finder or the lawyer finder. Given with the context for this particular page is that it's a global law firm, or at least a firm with a number of lawyers that can't be presented on one single page. Kind of key things here, obviously having the ability to search and filter. When we've been doing our competitor analysis across the law firm industry, we're seeing that there is often kind of either the ability to filter but not search. So if the user knows a particular fee earner or partner that they're looking to find, if they have to filter, that's slower than the user intention. So being able to search and filter. So looking here, there's the search bar with the ability to type in and then press enter without having to go back to click on the search button. And then the filtering mechanics. Obviously, this depends on the nature of your own firm, but the ability to search by location, expertise versus a particular service, as well as topic or industry vertical. And then going down the page, once the user's been able to filter down, making it as clear as possible who the particular people are within that sort of filtered down set of intent, and then what are the different positions and the locations. So if they're only interested in speaking to a lawyer in London and they haven't done that filtering, at least by seeing the location very clearly, they can get in touch with the person most relevant for them. That takes us into the lawyer profile page, as we see a snapshot of a few other law firm examples. The one Eversham Sutherland's, which we've recently gone live with, is relatively standard. The most important thing is they know this is the person they want to get in touch with because they've searched their name, or even they've reached this page directly from a Google or even Bing search, that there's a clear way to get in touch with that particular person. So that might be providing email address, phone number. More commonly, we're seeing providing the LinkedIn card, and V cards have been around for a while now, but some law firms and partners like to keep those there. What we are starting to see, which we haven't included in this blueprint because it's a bit more of an add-on, is the ability, as one of the participants in the Motives conversation said, is the ability to schedule an interview, or sort of schedule a meeting. And the reason why that's becoming more important is because it's expected that if this is the person I want to speak to and I have a particular need, then I should be able to get directly into their calendar. The challenge with that kind of pattern is that from a lawyer's perspective, they don't just want anyone being able to book directly into their calendar. And so there are ways around that in terms of being able to kind of triage, and if someone doesn't, based on the responses to those sort of form questions that are in the calendar booking process, then they would get directed to someone else while still having a good experience. Key things are, if they're in discovery mode, make it clear who the fee earner is in terms of the specific industries they work in. This is built on the taxonomy structure within your website. So if they click on the particular industry that they're attached to, then this would take you to the industry overview page, which then is the kind of mix of services that are relevant for that industry, their education, areas of expertise. And what's becoming more important is that social proof aspect, being able to say, getting that quote from a client, how good and successful it has been to work with the fee earner, as well as sort of awards and accolades. This aspect is really important for being able to show the level of expertise of that particular fee earner. But without the correctly set up taxonomy, it's hard to populate related articles. And so kind of when you're designing and building a website, making sure the taxonomy is set up so that these articles are pulling through directly as soon as an article is published by that author, that the article is also populating their profile page. Just as importantly, if that particular fee earner isn't active in creating content on the website, that this kind of section of the page gracefully degrades and so that it's hidden. So that if there's no articles related to that particular person, it's hidden rather than appearing blank. The other alternative to that is having a more generic fallback saying these are some related articles in the service area or industry. You can then see more articles by that person. Jumping down, we then have the article page. Again, this might be something that a user reaches not via the route that we're talking about, that particular specific user journey, but they may have also come to this particular page from a Google search, from seeing an article on LinkedIn, and then wanting to read more. This is a key point in the user journey. If in discovery mode, they haven't got to the point where they know the specific person they want to speak to, they're not just ready to have a conversation, but it's kind of part of that brand building. As one of the participants said in the Motives conversation, that the insights content becomes just as important as the hands-on service delivered by the firm, because they become a trusted advisor, a place to come back for news. And we've worked with some of our clients who have this capability, but they've gone one step extra, where you can, as a user, subscribe to a particular set of topics, and then as soon as the firm publishes content on that topic, they get sent an email, or even in kind of more extreme cases, send a WhatsApp saying, "Oh, we've just published this article on this topic. We think you'll find this interesting." So a really good way of building that trust, becoming the place to go for information on a particular topic. So it's just like key bits of furniture. Obviously, one thing we haven't talked about is the navigation, always keeping that as available as possible in any point on the website. We've seen across some larger global law firms that this CTA or call to action is hidden. That will be for particular strategic reasons. But our advice is that if you want people to get in touch, we make this area as easy to get to as possible. But in terms of metadata, making sure the author's names, and this, it might obviously be multiple authors' names, and then the pattern that's been around now for a long while now is the sort of read time, setting expectations for users, as well as the category and topics that this article relates to, as well as giving those jumping off points. One of the briefs we got from a global law firm a couple of years ago was to redesign the article page. And one thing they wanted to make sure was that there was this sort of circular flow within the website. So you could land as your first sort of touch point within the website on an article, but there were other next best actions to take. So one of those could be an industry, could be a set of topics, and then taking your next step. But obviously it's key not to promote that bit too high up in the page, because you want users to read the content they've arrived for. And then, as I said, so the next best actions could be a set of related articles on that topic driven by taxonomy. One thing we've started to see a little bit more of is not only creating these related articles based on the taxonomy, that kind of puts the pressure on the sort of content managers to make sure the taxonomy and the articles are tagged correctly, is using the capabilities in large language models to understand the exact content of an article and then generate its own set of recommendations and related articles. And there are capabilities within the sort of enterprise CMSs to be able to make this particular section more personalized based on the user's behavior on the website within that session, or indeed if they've opted into the cookie in previous sessions, to be able to then say, we know roughly what topics you're interested in, let's optimize this set of related articles so that we can keep your journey going. And indeed, one of the kind of key access points, if someone's ready to then start a conversation with the firm, is to promote the fee earners who can speak best to that topic. Finally, as part of our core 4, is the contact page. So this tends to vary the most in its sort of shape because of the nature of the sort of different scale in law firms being on the sort of what we've got on the right, a more sort of regional law firm versus global law firms, which then are kind of country by country and then showing the offices within their country. But the sort of core thing is being able to make it as easy as possible for someone to get in touch and direct them to the right place. As an example, it might be that they're not getting in touch as a potential client, they're getting in touch because they have other inquiries, such as needing to get hold of the press pack. That is a real whistle-stop tour through the core 4. Motives have offered a special offer to those who have attended and watched the webinar. Feel free to get in touch with James. His email address is jmy@codehousegroup.com. For more details on the research we've been doing across the legal industry. So we showed that sort of 2-minute clip, but we've got a longer video and report on that, as well as accessing the core 4 checklist, as well as some of the other patterns we've got for law firms. With that, that is all we've got for today's webinar. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope to speak to you all soon. Thanks to James and Sean for your participation in today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.